Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing my review on the new Ledda fragrance release. It's called 20 Bourbon Brûlée. Just sounds amazing, right? I have already unboxed this and smelled it. I did my first impressions on TikTok if you guys want to see that. My TikTok is always linked in the description, but it's just Tabitha's Scent Obsession, the same as my YouTube handle. I just sprayed it on skin earlier, but I'm going to spray it on my sweater and on my skin again and get like a fresh experience of the scent. The only other perfume I've smelled from the brand was 22 Oris, and I did really like that perfume, but I decluttered it a while ago when I was really trying to be ruthless with my perfume declutters. My collection is really small right now, the smallest it's been in years, honestly, so I have been really strict with myself, but that is actually one perfume that I miss and think about repurchasing sometimes. And I don't have a lot of perfumes that I've decluttered that I have that experience with, but I did really like that one. This though looked right up my alley, like the perfect fall scent for me. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the notes and all of that. But if you're new, I'd love if you would consider subscribing. I do fragrance videos on this channel. If you enjoy this or it's helpful for you, I'd love if you give the video a thumbs up as well. And let me know in the comments, what is your current favorite fall fragrance? I would love to hear it. I feel like fall and winter is my favorite scent category. So let me know what your most worn, like, favorite scent is right now. And let's get into the perfume. I love the Ledda packaging, even just the box. It's so pretty. It's got the gold raised lettering on it. I'm not sure how well you can see on camera because the lighting looks a little overexposed. Like I said, I have already unboxed this, but I did put it back in the box for this. This bottle, you guys, stunning. All of the Ledda perfumes come in this bottle, but I think something about the dark, like, brown juice makes this one the prettiest to me. Like, I think it makes the bottle pop, and it's just so stunning. This is the ultimate fall perfume bottle. So to get into the price and the notes, the Ledda perfumes retail for $98 each. Obviously, Black Friday and Cyber Monday are coming up, so there will probably be a sale on their fragrances if you want to get a discount, but that's a pretty typical price for a designer fragrance, or maybe some lower end niche fragrances, but that's pretty much designer price nowadays. Also, I believe you get 20% off of your first Ledda order if you've never ordered on the website, which is a really good discount too. The notes listed are top notes of Italian bergamot, black plum, and Brazilian tonka bean. The middle notes are cypriol root, coconut milk, whiskey accord, and heliotrope. And the base notes are caramel, vanilla bourbon, amberwood, white musk, and American cedar. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this on my hoodie now because, like I said earlier, I only sprayed it on my skin, but I'll spray it on my skin too. And I have the dry down on my wrist right now from earlier. It's definitely softened out a little bit, but I do get the same notes. It's not the most linear fragrance, but I wouldn't say that it changes a ton either. So I'll share all of that with you guys, but one more spray on my skin to refresh. It smells the same on my clothes as it did on my skin, which I like. I like when a fragrance smells the same and I don't have to worry about it smelling different depending on where I spray it. In the opening with this one, you do get the caramel right away. For me, I get the caramel note immediately. And it's sweet, but it's not like too dense or sticky of a caramel. It's definitely warm and sweet, but I think the fruity note of the black plum kind of balances it out and gives it a little bit of a brightness so that it's not so heavy, sticky, gourmand. Because even though I do get the boozy notes right away, I don't really get the woodiness until more of the dry down. And so I feel like the opening is just a little bit more of like a sweet, almost fluffy like scent. And like I said, you get some of the plum and the vanilla bourbon in the opening. And then I'm not quite smelling it yet, but from my experience earlier, as it starts to dry down, you get a little bit more of the woodiness, maybe a little more of the whiskey, but it's not overly boozy, and the caramel stays throughout the life of the fragrance. I would say I don't smell the plum as much in the dry down, but the caramel stays there the whole time. It's a linear scent. It's just that the opening is a little bit brighter and the dry down is a little bit more woody. Personally, I get the cedar wood in the dry down, but it's not an overly intense, like punch you in the face cedar wood. It's kind of soft. It blends with the other notes, and I personally love cedar wood. It's one of my favorite woody notes in a fragrance. I just can be kind of picky about how it's blended. So this is done really, really well. It's never too much. And I said the same thing in my TikTok. I don't want to compare it too much to other perfumes because I do think it stands on its own, especially since the opening is slightly different from the dry down. It's its own perfume, and I think that it deserves that mention. But I do feel like, especially in the dry down, it is kind of similar to By the Fireplace from Replica, but it's softer. It's not as sweet. It's more fluffy. And because there's not this intense woody smokiness, it doesn't overpower your nose or feel like too much. It's a lot softer and it's balanced a lot better with the sweet notes. And then you also have the added booziness that By the Fireplace doesn't have. But it still doesn't smell like if you mixed Jazz Club and By the Fireplace, because that would be really kind of an intense fragrance and a little bit more unisex. This is more feminine leaning to me than either of those. Still has a little bit of that woody, smoky, boozy quality, but it's sweet and it's softer. And like I said, more fluffy than either of those fragrances. Like it has this kind of fluffy sweater vibe to it. I don't know. It's just like soft and lighter than either of those. The more I'm smelling it, especially now the second time around, it's just making me want to spray this on myself all fall and winter. I want to make this kind of like my cold weather signature perfume, but I do have others I love too. It's just the more I smell it, the more I like it. It's one of those kind of situations. I kind of almost forgot that this has a coconut milk note in it, but I'm looking down at my phone again and remembering, and maybe that's kind of where that fluffy tone is coming from, like that coconut milk mixed with the caramel, but it doesn't smell coconutty. Like I wouldn't know that there's coconut in this if I didn't see it. I think it just adds a little bit of a creaminess to it, so it balances all the notes out and none of them are super harsh. It really is like if you're sitting by a fire, but maybe you're drinking a caramel latte too, and you have a fuzzy sweater on, you're reading a book or watching something, you're cozy. Like it's not an overly formal fragrance, but it feels versatile at the same time. Like you could totally wear it out. Obviously, like I said, you get the caramel through the whole perfume. So if you really hate caramel, you might not like this, but I do think it's done in a really beautiful way. And I don't think it's overpowering or super strong. There's also not really a floral tone to this. So because of that, I feel like the caramel is a lot softer than in something like Jessica Simpson Fancy, or, I mean, that's the first one that comes to mind that's very floral, but also very caramel, and that makes it overpowering. And so in something like that, I'm not the biggest caramel person, but in something like this, I think it smells really, really good. I do think it's worth putting on your wish list. I think they're going to be coming out with samples in December or around the holidays, sometime around then. So if you want to wait and you don't want to blind buy, I totally get that. That's probably the smartest idea. They also do have a travel size of this if you want to try out a smaller size first. I'm just obsessed with these bottles. Like these Ledda bottles are absolutely stunning. They're very heavy duty, good quality. I love the ribbed detail with the metal gold cap. Like it just makes it very luxe. And the sticker is this kind of like matte paper. So I do kind of feel like this bottle with the color of the juice is a good vibe for the boozy quality of this fragrance. But anyways, I've already talked about the packaging. I feel like I've given you guys my thoughts on the scent. This is still the first day. I just got this, so I can share updates with you guys. I might be doing a layering video over on TikTok if I can find some really good perfumes to pair with this. I'll let you guys know the best combinations. I'm not a huge layering person, but I do kind of get intrigued by certain types of layering. I've already thought this would be really good with an apple-y kind of perfume to make it more of like a caramel apple. I think that would be amazing. So things like that I think are really fun to layer. I'm just not big on layering a bunch of random perfumes all the time, but yeah, that's my little first impression review on the new Ledda 20 Bourbon Brûlée. Again, if you want to see my first impression an unboxing, check it out over on TikTok. If you haven't commented your favorite fall, winter perfume, leave it down below now. And also consider subscribing if you haven't, like I said before. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here for my next one.